Hi guys, so it's been over a month since Deadly Premonition 2's release, and I don't know about you all, but I'm still slowly chipping away at those stamps. I really hope getting all 400 is worth it, because getting some of these has been mind-numbingly boring and frustrating as hell. There's been 2 patches so far, with more hopefully on the way, and players are already seeing some gameplay improvements, like we no longer have to deal with York's constant and repeating traveling conversations.
Hey, want to talk about bridges?
No, God!
I just want to hear a new conversation, York. We've been talking about the weather and bridges for long enough, thank you. And people are liking the slight improvement to the game's frame rates outside. Though, with that said, there's still much more that needs to be done, especially for those playing physical versions of the game. I couldn't believe the difference between my own experience playing a digital version and Hikikomore's experience playing the physical release. If you haven't already, please check out his review on the game as he goes in depth on the issues he faced, and some of the glitches are insane. I was floored, and here I thought the 2 game crashes I had was bad. There would have been no way I would have recommended this game if I had experienced a quarter of what he did. Anyway, I can't recommend his YouTube channel enough, and his review of the first game and its various ports is choice as well. But I'm already getting off track. Sorry, I'm just really frustrated at how botched this release has been. But there's something I hope never gets patched, and that is the ability to force York out of bounds with a souped-up skateboard. I found it really interesting to explore what we aren't supposed to see as players, and I thought it would be fun to show off some of the neat things I've spotted thus far in the out-of-bound areas of Carré. Please note, there will be mentions of both Deadly Premonition 1 and 2 endgame spoilers. Do not watch unless you've completed both games. When you get out of bounds, one of the first things you'll notice is the 2-dimensional low-res trees, and that the other trees will melt into nothing as you approach. They're very creepy looking if you ask me. Another creepy occurrence is when you force York off the map entirely and he devolves into a pixelated mess the further he falls. When you're out of bounds, you develop the ability to walk or skate on most bodies of water, which is not only pretty cool, York is skateboard Jesus now, but it also allows you to access some areas of the game either blocked by story progress or travel limitations. As you can see here, I'm actually traveling through some of the swamp courses, without all the targets of course, and over here is the very first hotspot Raven can take you to. I haven't been able to force my way inside that area yet due to the invisible barrier, but it's still cool to see it from another angle. Also, I really wonder how Raven drove her car here in the first place. Maybe her car can fly or can turn into a swamp boat, I don't know. There are also several boathouses in the area. 2 of them are unoccupied, but you can also make your way over to the actual boathouse Melvin and Candy are hiding in at the end of episode 3. Oh no, York, be careful! You might turn into a weird red tree monster if you stand in that cocoon for too long. It's also kind of neat to see the little maze of pathways to the boathouse in the daytime without being pursued by shadows, though it's just as frustrating to get through if you ask me. Usually, when players approach one of the town's borders, York will automatically turn around while saying something like this.
Why do you want to leave town, Zach? Don't tell me you want to go sightseeing down in New Orleans.
You can bypass this when approaching these areas while out of bounds, and here's what they look like. It's just mainly roads that just suddenly end. Nothing too exciting really, but I was able to make my way over to that large bridge that pops into existence while on the way to the Clarksons' mansion. What's funny is you can actually skateboard all the way across it, though you might find yourself bumping into an invisible wall at first. Honestly, it's a little bit tricky. I was able to get across it by making sure to hit my max speed before crossing over the water, and then just letting York go on cruise control. I didn't try to accelerate or make large movements until I knew I was over the water. Eventually, York will fall through the bridge onto the other side, and the structure itself will eventually peter out shortly after the low-res image shown here. What I found most surprising is just the sheer amount of stuff in these inaccessible areas players will never see, not even like from a distance. Lots of trees, weird flat pixelated images of stuff, towers, sugarcane fields, power poles, and even shacks and homes just plopped in the middle of nowhere. It's like the out-of-bound areas were a dumping ground for unused assets in the game. I kind of wonder if maybe the game would run a bit better if they didn't have to load up all this extra crap when loading the open world sections. What's funny is that there's an area that's actually populated with quite a few alligators that don't seem to leave the area, but they can still attack York when he approaches. So I didn't realize this even happened before watching Hikiko's Deadly Premonition 2 review, but apparently during episode 2, Melvin takes a small motorboat up the river to sit in darkness near the sugarcane fields to pray in the white robes and mask he dons during the end of episode 3. The only way to really get a good look is by forcing York onto the river with a tricked out board. At first I thought it might have been a glitch given that Hikiko showed this happening at 12 a.m., but after trying to recreate it in my own game, I'm starting to think it might actually be something included on purpose, since at 22:30 you can witness Melvin get into the small motorboat tied to the dock behind his home. Tried to talk to him, but he ends up just brushing York off, saying he's tied up at the moment. Once he's in position, his robes will pop on and you can still see him from the shore, but he's far enough away that he could seem like any character if you didn't see a motor out there in the first place. Is he praying for the success of Leonard's plans that will go into action near the end of the episode, maybe? I don't know. I'm wondering if players are supposed to catch him doing something weird, similar to being able to witness George going into the secret club room with either Thomas or Carol during the Greenvale investigation in the first Deadly Premonition game. Like, maybe this is supposed to be a small hint that Melvin is up to something no good. I don't know, I could be giving this too much credit, but given Soire's track record using NPC movements in the first Deadly Premonition game to connect to endgame reveals, it's hard not to. By the way, if you try to talk to Melvin while he's on the actual boat, it will provide no dialogue and the game will soft lock and force you to restart. And speaking of talking with characters, thanks to tricking out the skateboard with a high speed and acceleration, and discovering I can force York onto the river, I was finally able to speak to Raven while she's fixing Chuck's boat. Something that was impossible before due to Raven kneeling just behind the invisible wall between the land and the water. Nothing too exciting is said, but it was something that really irked me when playing, so I thought I should show it off in case you guys were curious too. And that's it so far. I think I covered all the highlights of the out-of-bound areas. But if I come across anything else noteworthy, like other characters doing something weird, I will let you guys know.